Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Geoff Fyers. I am a New Zealander. I joined the Unification movement 45 years ago in 1977. I come from a farming family in New Zealand. And in 1983, I was asked if I'd like to go to Zambia to set up an agricultural school. So I did. I arrived in Zambia in May 1983 to find 30 students in a classroom waiting for me to teach them all the skills and knowledge that I had about farming, many years of farming. I also found a huge meat factory that had been established by the Unification movement, and it was able to be established and built because of money sent from the Unification movement in Japan. I also found under construction a medical clinic, and a medical team had just arrived with a Japanese doctor, surgeon, and a medical team. I also saw the beginnings of a primary school and also secondary school being established. So I thought I would be there for 1 or 2 years, but as I invested myself in this school project, I became so inspired and amazed. The projects were continually supported by money sent from Japan, a very wealthy nation and prosperous nation. I felt that this was a very amazing and wise endeavor to send money from Japan, not just government to government, but also in grassroots activities where people could directly benefit from this investment. So after teaching for a year, I advised the organization that it'd be good to buy a farm where I could take students to upgrade their skills in practical farming. So more money was sent and a 7,000 acre property was purchased where I took students to help them get a grassroots understanding of practical farm development. So this is really amazing story, which I feel that people of Japan should come to know, because the issue at the moment is the great persecution, I can say, through misunderstanding of where the money that's being raised by Japanese unificationists went to. And this project that I'm explaining in Zambia is only one country in Zambia. These projects have gone on all around the world in many nations in Africa. So students came not only just from Zambia, but eventually as the projects developed in Zambia, they came from the Cameroon, Uganda, Congo, just to name a few of students that I eventually taught. And also many students went also to the meat factory to learn skills of meat production, hygiene and preservation, all these practical things that African young people could benefit from to help with the development of their nation. And also, some of you may be aware of the Tongyil Industries, a Korean industry that builds industrial machines for fundamental development of industries. So 5 or more of these huge lathe machines built in Korea were sent to Zambia to set up an engineering company to help with the development on a grassroots level for Zambia's benefit. So I'm greatly disturbed by all the negativity against the unification movement, and particularly it stems from the money that was given by the person, the young man who assassinated Shinzo Abe. And his mother also understood the value and the importance of contributing to this movement, and so did Shinzo Abe himself. His father and grandfather also could see a great vision that the unification movement has undertaken. So we well know that the unification movement is a spiritual movement, and always religious movements have donated money to their organizations. They're encouraged to transfer wealth from, from rich nations to poverty-stricken nations. There's nothing new or unusual about that. So Japanese came to Zambia in the unification movement, and even at the time of the AIDS endemic or pandemic or whatever you call it broke out in Zambia, Japanese women came with money, and we held conferences. And at that time, I also myself went from school to school to teach about the problem of AIDS and just make awareness to young people how it's contracted and how they can avoid it. So there's many amazing activities that the unification movement has undertaken in many areas. After I finished my 15 years of work in Zambia, I volunteered for, at that time, I had a family and I brought them back to New Zealand for their education. But just after a few years, I volunteered to go to Palau to be able to help set up a curriculum for character building in schools, teaching soccer and occupying island children to mentor them to help develop a healthy lifestyle. Even in island nations, there are huge problems of alcoholism, drug abuse, and their young people need to be occupied. So I spent 6 years in Palau. I bring up this topic because I was supported by Japanese Unificationists to stay there. Japanese also came to Palau to help me with education programs, going from township to township, talking to women's groups, and also, yes, even political leaders, to give them insights as to how to help them build their nation. Nations are not only built with material things, they're built with a good moral and ethical understanding of how to use those material things for the benefit of the nation. Probably one of the things that I've learned is that nations are not just built by smart people or by material things, but by ethical people, moral people. That's what nations are built on. That's what New Zealand is built on. Africa has huge resources. And why have they not developed? They have not sometimes benefited from the moral education of some of our great faiths. Confucianism, Shintoism, all these have discipline that we need in order to build a strong nations and a strong family culture. So I just really want to appeal to my Japanese people. The tremendous work of the unification movement has done around the world for the benefit of other nations, other than just Japan, a hugely wealthy nation. They have a tremendous skills and discipline that others can benefit from their mentoring and their sacrificial life. So with this, I just thank you for your time to hear my side of the story about where a lot of the money has gone. The Japanese people of the unification movement have invested. Thank you.